You too.
All right, guys. I'm sure everybody's going to want. Alvin was out today with a, back tightness. This is something that he's dealt with before, so I don't anticipate it being a big deal. But so that's why he wasn't out here today. A.T. Perry went in with an ankle sprain, so those were the two things that we dealt with from an injury standpoint today. We got a few guys, back out here on a limited basis. A few of the receivers back out on a limited basis today. So some of the guys that are injured are starting to, find their way back to the field. So I thought it was good practice. Tried to work this as we will for the next couple of days. As much game-like as we can. Everybody off on the sideline. Substitutions in and out. All of those things. We'll have officials back out here for the next 3 days. So just trying to, simulate a game as much as we possibly can. So that's what I got for you.
Since we saw A.T. Perry walking off under his own power, does that suggest that it's not like a significant ankle?
You know what? I just know it's an ankle. That's all I really know.
The next couple of days, you said the officials, is that like a switching from not having San Francisco come, or were they scheduled to come?
Well, they were scheduled to come anyway for those San Francisco practices. We were able to get them a day earlier, so they'll be here for the next 3 days. I think it's going to be beneficial for us. Obviously you get out here and you're in practice, and when you don't have officials, well, was it a false start? Was it not a false start? Was it offsides? Was it not offsides? Was it a defensive, holding or pass interference, or was it not? Like all those things are things that, was it holding offensively or not? So those are all things that, having the officials out here and trying to make it as much game-like as we can, so that our guys really understand, what's, what's going to be acceptable in terms of what's going to get called or not called. I think is important for our guys to see.
Now that you guys have gotten a good handful of practices in a game, how have you seen Alontae Taylor just growing?
Yeah, I've been really pleased with what I've seen out of Alontae. I think his mindset's been outstanding. I think his work ethic has been outstanding. I think his understanding of the position has much improved. So I'm excited about what I think he can do, both outside corner and at the nickel position. And so I think we're fortunate in that we have, I feel like some depth at that position, and an important position, in particular for us in the style of defense that we play.
Where is Jordan Howden in his development, and what do you guys still need to see from him? He feels like he's still competing for snaps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I haven't seen anything from any one of those safeties yet. Okay, probably with the exception of Tyrann Mathieu, where somebody's just jumped out at me and said, it's my job. And that's what I'm looking for. So, I think ultimately what you're looking for is guys to make plays, guys to have production. So that's interceptions, that's PBUs, that's tackles, guys that are going to play a physical brand of football. Like, those are all the things that I'm looking for, and I'm seeing good things out of the safety position. And yet I haven't seen where somebody's just taken the bull by the horns and, said that this is my job. And so I think that's what I'm looking for.
Jordan specifically, he kind of lost some playing time toward the end of last season too. What does he need to do better to show more consistency or to show?
Yeah, well, honestly, I think all the things that I just talked about are the things that he needs to do. I look at the safety position as a production position. I'm looking at that position as and in particular the way that we play, and whether it be our quarters coverages or down safety coverages, whatever the case may be, that position is a position that should have tackles, should have PBUs, should have opportunities for interceptions, and so those are the things that I'm looking to see.
And so when you had somebody like Chase, who's been kind of as productive as we've seen on camp, is that kind of like a, one player making a bunch of disruption and kind of raises all ships? Sort of, I can't remember the metaphor.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave the metaphors to you guys.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
All right, but what is a metaphor?
What's that?
What is a metaphor? Like, what's the official definition of metaphor?
A metaphor is like using something as comparison as like an example, right?
Okay. All right. I got it. So, for example, I'd say when you bring somebody in that is disruptive, yeah, I think that raises the level of play for everybody. And look, he's been a welcome addition. And again, much like I was talking about with Alante earlier, I'm probably more impressed and more pleased with just his mindset and his demeanor about buying into what we do and how we do it. And I think, I think over the course of time, it's been proven that, when guys come in and they buy into what we do and how we do it, that we've had some success doing that. So I'm excited about what I think he can bring. He's been disruptive out here in practice. I think he was disruptive in the game the other day. So, and now he's just got to keep doing it on a consistent basis. It's one thing. Look, he certainly has the ability to do it, and there's no question about that. And so now it's really about, the great ones, and they do it on a consistent basis, day in and day out, week 1 to week 18, and so on. And so that's really what we're looking for out of him, and he's given me zero indication that it'd be anything less than that.
It looked like Cam had a good rush from the inside today. What's the difference between, for him, or anybody really, from going from the outside to the inside?
I think space is not as great when you're on the inside. I think things happen a little bit faster on the inside. So there's a few things from a fundamental and a technique standpoint that he just needs some reps in there, and really. Look, I think it's probably been since he was in college that he had any sort of significant reps, inside as a rusher. He's moonlighted in there a little bit, here and there, but never on a consistent basis. And so I think him getting some reps inside, is going to be beneficial. And I mean, the reality is. When you get to these passing downs, you're only putting 4 defensive linemen on the field, and all of them want to be out there on the pass rush downs, and so it's really about finding the best 4 that can work together as a group to be able to affect the passer. And so I think right now, we're trying to look at him inside. We're trying to look at Peyton Turner inside. Obviously, Breezy, Shepard, those guys, are working inside. So, hopefully that'll allow us to have a little bit of depth and a little bit of rotation in terms of being able to rush the passer.
Along those lines, is Peyton Turner better as a rusher inside than outside? I mean, he's pretty effective there.
Yeah, I think he's shown some effectiveness inside as a rusher. And I think he's shown some things off the edge too. I think he's a versatile rusher. And so, again, like I said, it's really going to be about getting this thing out of here. All right? And how do we get the best 4 guys out there to rush the passer, wherever that may be.
Obviously, it's pass rush down. Does Cam's ability as a run defender help in terms of you throwing the rusher inside? There was a rep where they had a draw on 3rd and 15, right? Does having Cam there as that kind of plus run defender, does that help, or does that not factor at all?
Well, look, when you get into those down and distances, you're rushing the passer, you're reacting to the run. Now certainly you're looking at whatever clues the offense might give you as to when a run may be coming. But when you're playing defense, you can't play run and pass on every down. You really got to be able to play one, and then you got to be able to react to the other. And so what are the clues that you're getting from the offense that tells you which one I'm anticipating, and that's what I'm playing, and then I'm going to react to the other. So I wouldn't say, on a 3rd and long situation that his ability to play run defense is, that's not what I'm looking for there. I'm looking for guys that can get after the passer and affect the passer, and then in those situations we got to be able to play the run on the way to the passer.
Now that you've had some time with the developmental period, how do you like that, how that's gone, and are you seeing kind of like the tangible effects?
Yeah, look, I think that's critical. I mean, when you get into training camp, you really got a couple of things going, right? So you're trying to get your football team ready for the regular season. And then you're trying to develop these young players and see if they're worthy of being on your team or being on the practice squad or whatever the case may be. And so that's the opportunity for them to show that, hey, I'm worthy of being part of this 53, or I'm worthy of being on the practice squad. And then now they may get a few more reps, as you go throughout the course of the regular practice. But I think that's really, your initial proving grounds.
Does that allow you to be a little bit more hands-on during that period specifically than the course of practice, like coaching guys up and that sort of thing?
Well, look, for me, during that period, it's strictly an evaluation process. And now there's a lot of things that I'm evaluating. Look, it's also an opportunity for our younger coaches, to quote-unquote coach up, meaning, Andrew Janoko's calling plays, Mike Hodges is calling plays on defense, our coaching assistants are coaching the position groups, and a majority of the, full-time assistant coaches or full-time position coaches are able to kind of sit back and evaluate. And so I think that's beneficial in a couple of senses, both young developmental players and also developing the young coaches some too.
And I apologize if we've asked you this already in the last 7 or 10 days, but does Nick Saldivari have any chance to get back while there's still games to be played, or what's his
In the preseason?
Yeah.
I don't know that. And again, I'm not going to get into anybody's, timelines. I think obviously there's levels to soft tissue injuries. His was, probably a little bit more than some.
And I know no timelines, but Mihai Sula, is he coming along well?
He's making great progress. I think all of us can kind of do a little bit of the math in terms of it was an ACL injury, so those things take some time. I can get into the timeline in terms of he won't be ready for the start of the regular season. I think him and Tano were both in that same boat. But the rest of the guys are, we'll just have to rehab them and see.
Drew Brees out there today?
Drew was out here. We had several guys. Scott Fajita, Drew Brees, Roman Harper's going to help out with us this week. Lance Moore was here. Scott Shanley was here. Obviously, we got a few former players on the staff, and Jari and BY, and so there was a lot of those guys that came out here to watch practice. I'm sure I'm probably forgetting somebody.
What's Roman going to do?
He's going to be helping out with the defense. Yeah, so he'll be helping out with the DBs. So much like Malcolm came here for a couple of days and helped out, Roman's going to do the same thing. See if these guys can catch the coaching bug just a little bit, Jeff.
For the developmental period, are you letting guys, like, I noticed there was like a little bit more tackling, like, is it more simulated live reps sort of thing?
It's not intended to be that way. I think sometimes you get in those situations, and obviously they're they're pretty excited about getting the reps and trying to make an impression. So, but I think it's been good work.
You mentioned Hodges calling plays. Just how has he developed as a coach? Just kind of.
Yeah, I think he's doing a really good job. I mean, look, the way, like, just look at his players, right? And he's had guys that, you know, have come in, played well for him. They've gone on to other places, and somebody else has had to come in. You see some guys young guys that develop. You know, like I'm watching DeMarco Jackson develop, or an Anthony Orji develop. You know, that's what it's about as an assistant coach. And so, yeah, he's done a tremendous job for us. All right, guys, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.